Maseches Bava Kama, Daf Kufid Beis Amud Aleph. Zoiche to learn Torah Hashem Temima. Bava Kama Kufid Beis Amud Aleph. We are Omar Rove. We're restarting from the end of the narrow lines. It's a new statement, so it's a great place to start the Shiur with. The Shiur is Le'il Nishmas of Menachem Ben Akiva. Ule'ilu Nishmas Rus Bas Shalom Sor Bas Moishe Lerefuas Esther Fruma Bas Shoshana Malko. Lerefu Aslea Bas Tomo Esther Sor Bas Gitlu Yehudis Bas Yehudis Bas Rivka B'soch Shachol Yisrael Refuah Shlema. Omar Rove says Rove. We spoke yesterday about children who are children, people who are children of a ganev. Now we're speaking about people who are children of a borrower. That's a nicer guy. What's going on with them? Omar Rove. The father left for them. The father left inheritance to the children, and part of that was Poro She'ula. Poro She'ula, Kufid Beis Amud Aleph, the last narrow line. He left them a borrowed cow, which means, let's say, he borrowed from Mr. CO, cow owner. Yeah, he's a COO, cow owner, cow's only owner, COO. And the cow's only owner lent the cow to Mr. Father. And the father, in the middle of the 30 days of the borrowing term, he died. So what's going on with the children? Are they allowed to use it? Says the Braise, and actually it's not a Braise, so it's Rove. Yes, they're allowed to use it as long as the agreement is there. See, if you have an agreement till Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, then, and then till Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, the Kinderlach, the Zisa Kinderlach, the Yorshim can use the cow and plow the field. Very nice. Mesa, if he died and it was not their fault, Ein Chayovin Be'onseho. That was a big one yesterday. Ein Chayovin Be'onseho. If the cow died, then the children are not chayiv in oines, which means usually a shoyel, a borrower, is chayiv in everything, even oines. And that's a big chiddush of Torah, that a shoyel, even though that thing was out of his control, not anything he could have done about it. So nevertheless, a shoyel is chayiv. That level of shmira they don't have. Question is, well, they're allowed to use it. So if they're allowed to use it, how can the cake have the cake and eat it? How can they hold the sticks on both sides? What is this, 2022 over here? I get all the rights and no duties, which is what people think today. What's going on? No. Explain the Rishonim and even Rashi's Maram is as explained yesterday. The cow itself is borrowed for them. They're allowed to use it because they're the continuation of the father. And by the way, this is Rava talking. Rava believes children are a direct continuation of the father. So if the father used it, they can use it. The etzem agreement, ownership applies to them. And there is ownership over the usage of the cow. They don't own the cow, but he's allowed to use the cows for all purposes. They're inherited automatically. However, to accept upon themselves as gavra, to accept upon themselves I am a shoyel, and as a person, I'm a chuyav to be at that high level of shmir. No, they, as individual people, never accepted that. Now, of course, there's no such thing as free lunch, said the American politician once. There's no such thing as free lunch. And of course, these children are chayev. The Rishonim say, b'gneva v'aveda. Of course, they have to take responsibility because Lamaisa, they're enjoying it. Yeah, this is not like, chinuch today, you let the child do whatever he wants. Yeah, it's not the way it goes. Elamai, the level of shmira, of she'ela, that level of that they have to be like a shoyel, that's a personal thing. And them as people to get that super duper high level of shmira of the Christ, that they didn't accept. So Mimela, they are using it. They're using it like Shomer Socho. That's it. Okay. They continue it in a lower form. Now, second case. That's a very cool case. They thought the cow belongs to the father. The father borrowed the cow from Mr. COO a long time ago, and it's grazing there and it's doing the work, and they thought it belongs to the father. The father himself actually never took care, never dawned at him that he has to tell the children it's borrowed. It's his business, and they thought it belongs to him. Once upon a time, one day, the children were very hungry, and it was nice time to make a barbecue. Yeah, very nice. It was 4th of July? I don't know when you do a barbecue. Vet vachua, they shechted the cow. And they ate the cow. And a day later, what happens? Where's my cow? Says Mr. Mashil. Mr. COO says, where's my cow? and they say, whoops, well, the bones are in the garbage can and everything else was very yummy. Now he says, pay me. And let's say he proves that he was the owner. Yeah, there's a shtar, they're not arguing. How much should they pay? Should they pay full price or not full price? That could also be looked at maybe as oinus, right? Possibly, not for sure. Maybe you can say that's oinus, and therefore they, what? Maybe they're potur or chayev. We say what they're potur on oinus because they're not really a shoyel. Says the Braisa, mishalmin dmei boso bezol. They have to pay. They do have to pay him. How much? They have to pay him the cheaper version, the cheaper rate of that meat, which is basically 2/3. Says Rashi 4/6, and then Rashi says 2/3, and even I knew the 4/6 is 2/3. Yeah, the kids are 2/3 of the price. Why 2/3 of the price? What's going on over here? Explains Rashi, and I have to thank Mechavrusa, who reminded me of a Tosfos long ago in Daf Chafzayin, I think Chafes. There are two issues here. Issue number one: are they called a mazik? First of all, they damaged the cow. They shechted the cow. Whether they ate it or not, that's a separate story. They shechted. It's like I would come to your house and smash your car. Yeah, they smashed his cow. They killed his cow. So for that alone, yeah, they are actually potur. Why are they potur? Because we say they are potur me oinsin. They're not real shoyelim, and they didn't know. Odamod loilom. Daf, where is it? Daf Chavov, Odamod loilom. A person is always responsible and accountable for anything he does. No. Says Tosfos, and Tosfos bring down that example way before. And Tosfos says when it's a complete oinus, when the person had no idea whatsoever, over here they were really sure that that's their father's cow. He even named it a nickname and whatever. It was grazing in the cow, and they all used to play with it since children. He borrowed it for 10 years. They really didn't know. Such a level from nezek they'll be potur. Wait, there are two levels. Nezek they're potur. Off the hook. Why do they pay 2/3 of the meat? And what does the 2/3 have to do with anything? Let's say that cow to be sold for meat would be, 5,000 shekels. So they pay 2/3, 6,000 shekels for some odd reason. So they have to pay 4,000. 2/3 of 6 is 4. 2/3. Oh, 4. Yeah, you got me confused now. Any extra number, it messes up the system. The kids are 2/3 of the cow they have to pay. Why 2/3? Because like this. Says the Baal cow to the children, listen, guys, maybe you're onus and you didn't know and it's so sad and so this, but Lamaise, you're nehene from me. In your stomach now, I saved you supper. Instead of going to Yesh in Zolu Bigadol to Best Market and buy the meat, you ate my meat. You remember such a case, people, from long ago? The cow in the street that's eating, not that's being eaten. Remember? Shein Bilshus Arabim is poto onezek. But the Maisa saved you supper. Remember the cow that ate the very, very fancy pineapples? 50 shekels, one pineapple. So in the store. Ooh, I ran away. Yeah, let's eat a few pineapples, each one 50 shekels. Mitzad Shein Bilshus Arabim, the cow is potu. But mitzad the mazik. So it doesn't have to be 50 each pineapple. But mitzad the fact that I saved you supper, your animal now is nehene for me. Now, you benefited from me, not because you mazik me. You benefited from me, so pay. It's like you took something from me. On that we say, we won't pay 50 shekels per pineapple. I would buy pineapples from my cow, not for 50, for 30. Or we have a standard price of 2/3. It's a question why after 2/3. I don't know. That's in many other sugyas. But the concept is like this. The children, had they known that this would cost them this whole embarrassment and money, belongs to someone else, they of course wouldn't pay that. They would get a cheaper supper. They could buy meat for cheaper or less meat or less quality or not the best cutlets. In Mela, they can tell him, we'll pay you as people who benefited from you, and this is yummy in my tummy, but only 2/3. Only 2/3, because that's a standard that Chachamim advise to give as somebody who's nehene, but would have, given less. Begadol. There's a machlokas about it before, but that's what you generally say. Okay, there is time for quick questions now. Actually, Yaakov was first, and then now we're in the second wide line, and we again have a statement. Again, we're going to play, pin the tail to the donkey or cut and paste. There's a statement, okay? We'll have to realize where to connect this statement to from the two cases. Again, what are the two cases of Rava? Before we continue. Case number one a case. Yeah, well, yeah, he died. He died by oinus. He was struck by lightning. I don't know, an Arab robber came and stabbed it. I don't know, a terrorist, I don't know, something, yeah, out of their control. They are what? They are potter. They are potter. They're not in the level of chivam oinsin. Second story was if they were mazik, also by complete mistake, but they acted upon it themselves. They did something and they shechted it with a bracha. And they really didn't know. They really didn't know. They got the best shechet from Badatz. He shechted it and they had a very nice meal and everything was so wonderful until the knock on the door. And then too, we say that they are not completely potter, but they are potterish. They are only paying the minimum. Okay. Now comes the statement, and we'll have to know where to pin the statement to. Says the Meimre, remember the Mishnah? Let's say the father had a field, a piece of land, nothing to do with the borrowing. He had a piece of land, which means what? Which means if the father had a piece of land when he died, yes, and even earlier when he borrowed, when daddy, I want you guys actually to tell me, I want to take a little bit of a tea break over here, and I want you to tell me, why should it make a difference? Let's make a timeline here, and I didn't have time to make a whiteboard chart, but it's not difficult. Let's say Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Yeah, everybody knows Nisan is before Iyar, Sivan, good. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, that's when he borrowed the cow, okay? And that's when he had a piece of land, okay? And if that's what happened, and then he died. When did he die? On Iyar. Rosh Chodesh Iyar, he died. The She'ela was for a very long time, till 2 years. In Rosh Chodesh Nisan, boom, Aleph Nisan, he had a piece of land and he borrowed, okay? No, he borrowed the cow. The land is in the corner. The land is, what is the land? You tell me what's the land, yeah? And then Rosh Chodesh Iyar, oh, Bochdan Emes, he ate tuman miniknei dalachan Pesach. He died in Rosh Chodesh Iyar. And then the children afterwards messed up one way or the other. So from some reason, because the father had a piece of land when he borrowed the cow, that makes them, generally speaking, I'm not talking about which case, more obligated, more chayav, more accountable. Why? Why does the fact that he had a piece of land at the time of borrowing makes any difference? Oh, you're both right. Aye, beautiful. Says Baruch Mishubad. Continues Ellen, and the land, which is Meshubad, goes to the children. I'm going to give you a nachas note to your wives, the Shabbos. Very nice, very nice. Which means, if the father, at the time of the She'ela, had a piece of land, then automatically that piece of land is Meshabed him, makes him kilu mortgaged, as I don't like to say, to who? To the borrower. Now, to the lender, to the owner. Now he died. So it's true that he died. And I was like, oh, it's a whole new thing. We never borrowed. We are nothing to do with that. We're only enjoying it, but we're not. But the land is. If the land continues to go to the children, and it's the same Meshubad land, the Shibud goes on them. It's Kilo, the land borrowed, the land has the debt in it, and you inherited, Mr. Son, who messed up with the cow, you inherited a Meshubad land. And therefore the shibud continues to you. That's generally speaking. And therefore what? Now, very nice, beautiful. Ika dematni la reisha. Some people learn that statement that if they inherited a meshubadika land, they connected the pinit to the reisha. What does it mean to the reisha? That the case that the cow died, and it wasn't our fault. We were never shoyalim. You coming to us, Mr. Cow owner, and you said that we are shoyalim. We never signed the dotted line. Our father signed as he himself borrowed from you, with nothing to do with us. We're a whole new story. No, sorry, guys. You're not a whole new story. That little piece of land, that apartment you have in Waichita Chachita, that apartment over there that belongs to the father, it's meshubad to me for whatever happens to the cow. And that apartment does belong to you. And you very happily take rent from that apartment. So you better pay off right now. That's one way of learning it, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, the Ika de Matila, some say, absolutely though, yeah, the cow. No, the first case doesn't have sliding scale. It's either all or nothing. And yes, they have to pay the whole thing. Yes, they have to pay the cow that died. They are shoyalim. They continue the shelah through the land. As we saw, by the way, in the Mishnah, according to Rava, the land continues the status of the father to the children because they both own it. The ikadematni lo seifa. Oh, that's much more of a chiddush. Some people say that in case that there is a piece of land over there, yeah, and when the father borrowed, he had a piece of land and there was a shibud, then you know what? Then if the children ate it and they were honest, the children shechted it, then they have to pay in full. That I don't understand. Because what does that have to do? That's nothing to do with the fact that they're shoyalim. Even if, of course, even if they came to your house, absolutely. Even if they came to your house and what? And they shechted your cow by mistake, they didn't know it's yours, I don't know what, they're not shoyalim. It would be the same. So what does the fact that he had the land makes any difference? Mechivrus and I spent a long time on that. Again, I'm repeating. In the second case, the seifa, it's harder to pin the land business to the seifa. Well, what does the seifa say? The seifa says as follows: they borrowed the cow. He borrowed the cow, the father, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, years ago. They were sure that it belongs to the father. He never, took care to tell them that it's not his. They thought it was his, and they had a nice barbecue. Yeah, a bra. They had a bra, right, Yosef? They had a bra. They had a bra. What's the bra? Barbecue. They ate it. Very nice. Not very nice. They have to pay 2/3. Why not pay the whole thing? Well, if there's a land at the time of the borrowing, then they have to pay the whole thing. But it's nothing to do with that because it's not because of she'ela. The land continues the she'ela process, but that's not their case. Answer some Rishonim after working hard on that, and Mechavrus and I had a phone conversation yesterday about it. Again. I'm stating the case very clearly. The father borrowed a cow from someone. Now, there was a piece of land in the corner over there, which automatically becomes meshubad. So now it's not just the gavra, the father himself, also the land is meshubad. So it's not a regular shoyl, it's a super duper, super committed shoyl. After he died, the children innocently didn't know. And I'm stressing, it has nothing to do with she'ela. They just didn't know. They thought that this cow frolicking around is what? It belongs to the father, which means belongs to them. And they shechted it. So we say they're potter, only have to pay 2/3. But if there's a piece of land, then they are chayiv. What does that have to do with it? Because the she'ela has nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with the strong she'ela. The stamina mistake that they made.
Look, already.
Thank you. Says what? I'll repeat it for you afterwards. Say the Rishonim like this. Unbelievable shot. You know who's Poshe over here? There's one Poshe over here who's not the children, it's the father. Blame it on the father. It's so fashionable. In other words, the father should have told him before he died that this cow is borrowed, and he didn't. So really, the father has to pay. How do you pay when you are in Gan Eden, or how many feet under? 10, 6, 5? So then, how do you pay? If you have a piece of land that's your orif, then you pay. Wow. The piece of land that he left behind, the legacy left behind is the land. And the father has to pay for his pshia for not informing the kinderlach. And therefore, the land has to pay. If the land has to pay, happens to belong to the children, I'm so sorry, you have to pay from your land because your land is the payment form of post-death payment form, is the land they left behind, which was meshubad. That's what they believe. That's a shibud. Because of shibud.
That's what I'm saying, that if the father told the children and the children shechted it.
No, but they're mazing.
Understand? So the children.
Avada, of course, the father told them in the shechted they have to pay everything. The mazik biyadayim. Amazing, they're showing. Avada, obviously. Weiter. Let's just continue a bit because now continues the Gemara, the end of the third line. Man dematni la reisha. The one who learns it about the reisha, the one who says that the meshubed land makes a difference and it makes the children obligated and chayev in case of if the animal died. Kol sheken a seifa, all the more so on the seifa. Just the opposite of what I told you, and I'm not scared. Kol sheken a seifa, which means it's more likely to connect the statement to the end, to the story of them shechting the cow, rather than to the beginning of the what? Of if he died by itself. Why? Upliga de Rav Papa. We're going soon to see the following story. Oh, it's getting a little bit complicated, but not very complicated. What did I tell you? And everybody understood. I think everyone was in agreement. You even said it, not me. What did we say about connecting the statement to the Reisha? Very simple. The father borrowed in Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Remember, make a chart in your mind. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, there's a piece of land there in the corner. The piece of land becomes meshubad forever and ever. Boom. So even though the father died, and even though the Yisomim, it's not us, yet it is you. The land is yours. The land connects you to what happened with the time of the father. All very nice. Beautiful. Why is it that some people don't agree to what I just said? We're soon going to see that Rav Papa has a whole different opinion regarding how the shoyel, when does the shoyel become meshubed to the mashil? When does the bar become obligated to the mashil? Is a different opinion by Rav Papa, and I promise you soon we're going to see it, and I'll explain everything. I just have to go with the flow now. Now, man dematni la seifa, those who say that the piece of land makes a difference to the seifa, to the case where they killed it, when they shechted it, aval reisha loy. In the reisha, they would argue and say, no. We are Rav Papa followers, and we don't believe that if the father borrowed and had the piece of land makes any difference at all to the children. Why not? Rav Papa. Finally, we're going to see the mysterious Rav Papa. I'll tell you about that, and then we'll see it inside. Rav Papa basically says, everybody here in the room knows that it's very simple logic, especially intelligent people like you. You tell me, what are the most two pivotal points in the whole story of the shoyel? Forget about children and stories, regular shoyel. Einish Chodesh Nisan, the shoyel borrowed, and he told me, no, you're a shoyel. Shoyel. Didn't you learn in Cheder? Shoyel means even you chayev be'oinsin. Yeah, I know. And I have a piece of land. I like pieces of land. Where's your piece of land? Very nice in Naharia. Oh, that's near Rabbi Buchatzera. Very nice. Okay. You can borrow 10 cows, and if anything will happen to them, then, you'll always be chayev, and I'm going to have a nice, worst comes to worst, I'm going to have a nice apartment in Naharia by the beach, by the separate beach. Then 2 months later, you know what happened? Oy, the cow really died, and it was not his fault. Who cares? It's not his fault. Not his fault. No, he's a shoyel. Yeah, it was struck by lightning. So now, what are the two important points in the history in this story? The time of borrowing and the time of the accident. We up until now assumed that when is the shoyel chayev? When did his chiyuvim actually already kick in and the land is meshubad? Right from the start. If the car goes back safe and sound, then I will not touch your apartment in Aria. But the shibud, the chiyuv, be'etzim conceptually starts from the beginning. And Mimela, we said, if there's a piece of land right from the beginning, right from the start, then even if the father died and the children messed up, and the children they still have because a piece of land. Our Papa says the opposite. Listen to our Papa. Oh, finally, we're getting to our Papa. Says our Papa no. When a shoyel borrows and he's a good boy, he didn't steal, he didn't kill, he has no chiyuvim. It's a potential chiyuv that will only start when the cow will die. Only then it begins. But his chiyuv does not begin before. I mean, nothing really happened. If he borrowed it, of course he knows in his mind, and everybody knows that if anything happens, he has to pay. But the shibud does not start from the beginning. Mimela Rav Papa would argue. Rav Papa would say as follows. Rav Papa would say like this. When the same story exactly, and I don't even need the chart. If you have your complicated, let me know. The father borrowed in Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and there was a piece of land. According to Rav Papa, it doesn't make any difference a piece of land. Why? Because the time of borrowing is not when we take the pictures and we get the lawyer all excited. That's not the time of chiyuv. 2 months later, he is many feet under the ground. And if the accident happened by the children, they're disconnected from the father. There are new shoylim, there are new people. Oh, there was piece of land. The Papa says, I don't care about the piece of land. Because whatever happened at the time of She'ela is not what obligates you. What obligates you is what happened at the time of the accident. At the time of the accident, the shoyel, which is the father, is hopefully somewhere in Gan Eden between the Malachim, learning Torah. And the children are not your shoyel. They never signed anything with you. And therefore, because we only hold the stick at the end and not at the beginning, and only the end, that's why, according to Rav Papa, there's no chiyuv for the children whatsoever. However, in the Seifa, there will be a chiyuv according to Rav Papa, because the Seifa, as I told you, has nothing to do with that. The Seifa, it's the fault of the father. And the father was stupid for not telling them. It's all different kettle of fish, nothing to do with us. Let me teach Rav Papa inside, and if you have questions, I'll be more than nice and accommodating about it, I hope. Rav Papa compares very, very interestingly two cases. And again, before we start, you know who is the bad brother? of Mr. Shoyel, it's Ganev. You know that Ganev and Shoyel, and you guys already have a PhD in Merube, Goizel, Machil. You tell me, what's the similarity between a Ganev and a Shoyel? A Ganev in Rosh Chodesh Nisan stole, and now he's going to be chayiv on what? You tell me. Let's say Ganev stole. Shh, don't tell the guy. I'm stealing his sheep behind his back. He doesn't know. Let's say the sheep will be struck by lightning. Will the Ganev be chayiv or potter? Quick. Chayiv. A Ganev is chayiv b'shel. Oh, that reminds me of Shoyel. Shoyel is the nice version, and Ganev is the bad version. You know, two little icons. But lemaise, a Ganev and Shoyel share something in common. Both of them, there was a time at the beginning of the story is when there was borrowing or theft, and the end of the story was when there was an accident that happened, and both people are chayiv. Of course, it's different. The Shoyel is a Rosh Yeshiva tzaddik bal musar, and the Ganev is a low life. But on the outside, there is similarities. In both cases, you have the beginning of the story and the accident that culminated in a very bad way. Now Rav Papa brilliantly is going to differentiate between these two. Says Rav Papa as follows. Listen carefully. A person had a paro stolen, and now, by the way, the issue is going to be now, Mr. You know the Korean guy, Kim Lei. You know Kim Lei? He's a friend of Tim. Kim Lei b'derabba minei. Everybody here knows what Kim Lei b'derabba minei. If you don't know, don't be ashamed, and you can raise your hand and ask the question. Kim Lei b'derabba minei. If somebody shechts a cow on Saturday, you know that according to the Jewish tradition, you're not allowed to slaughter animals on Saturday. So it's just something new for all of us to know. But, if you did so, if you shechted someone else's cow on Shabbos, do you have to pay him? Why not? Kim Lei. Hey, that's Mr. Kim Lei. He comes to our rescue. Very nice. Amar Papa. Now we can start. A person had a cow already stolen, and you know when we're talking now? Friday afternoon, the Queen Sabbath is spreading its wings over the world, and Mr. Ganev has a cow that he already stole on Friday. He prepares for Shabbos. Listen, he has to prepare for Shabbos. He doesn't have meat for Shabbos, so he stole a cow on Friday. What can he do? So and he slaughtered it on Shabbos. Please, I beg you, please ignore Tvicha Mechira. We're not talking here about the 4-5. That's not the issue now, and so explain to you why. I can actually tell you now. There's no Kim of the Rabba Minei on 4-5. You know that? Above the Chamisha, you have to pay extra 2, extra 3 for shechting, it's stolen sheep or cow. That you would have to pay. Yeah, you would have to pay because we don't say Kim of the Rabba Minei on a knas, on penalty, only on regular. So now says the Gemara, B'Shabbos chayev. Is chayev on what? Is chayev actually on shechting? If there were 2 edim that warned him, you could say, you are going now to be niskal. Or not, it can take a long time. We're going to kill you. You broke Shabbos. Why? But don't we say that now that he shechted, he took it away from the owner? Again, listen carefully. Friday, he snatched it, or he very, slyly took it away from the owner. But as Shabbos comes in, when his life was lighting candles, he could have brought it back, but he chose not to. And in Shabbos, he shechted it. Maybe you can say that in Shabbos is when he really stole it, because in Shabbos, that's a point of no return. When he shechted it Shabbos morning, he's going off the derech very quickly, this guy. Shabbos morning, he shechts the cow, yeah, and then what? Maybe say, hey, this is a real Geneva, right? Because now that's a point of no return. Now the guy's not going to have a live cow anymore. So maybe you should be potur on what? On the Geneva, because you chayiv on Shabbos. I'm sorry, I said a nonsense before. Of course you chayiv on Shabbos. You chayiv on Shabbos and also chayiv the money, I meant to say. Sorry, it was stupid of me. Sorry, he was not smart of me. Shabbos, you chayiv on slaughtering and chayiv the money. Why is it chayiv on slaughtering the money? Says the Gemara shekvar chayiv begneva koydem shavar l'deisur Shabbos, because the chiyuv gneva came on Friday when he pulled it and did kinyan mishicha, kinyan hagba. That, says Rav Papa, at that point at the beginning, that's where you have the twinkling red light. That's when he's chayiv. The cow was still alive? Okay. Till Shabbos morning, the cow was alive and possibly revocable, reversible. But the fact he shechts it now, that's not what's mechayev him. In other words, all these electric system and all these mechanical systems, a very simple, let's say house, every house appliance usually needs two things to be in power. It needs to be, yeah, like the fan, which works very nicely. Yeah, it has to be plugged in, and also you need a button to press. That's our story. You need the big plug and the small plug. You need the big plug. That's the theft on Friday. That's what really matters. That's the real power here. And what he did on Shabbos, he shechted it. That was a kleine thing. That was a small thing. That was because you were chayiv be'etzem. Had you return it, I will forgive you. But the real chiyuv was on the theft. Bad boy on Friday. Now on Shabbos, it's not the main chiyuv. Mimele you chayiv on what? You chayiv to pay him. Because you're not paying for what you did on Shabbos. You're paying for, when you shecht it on Shabbos, you're paying for the fact that you stole it on Friday. Had you not shechted it, it would have been revocable. Fine, would be forgivable. But the real chait was on Friday. So the shechting in Shabbos is not what takes it away from the hands of the Baalim. And remaining, you have to pay the Baalim a full cow because you stole on Friday. That's, oh no, question, North Korea. That is by Geneva. She'ela, says Rav Papa, is just the opposite. Says Rav Papa, hot. The person was a nice guy. On Friday, he borrowed a car. Anything wrong with that? He borrowed a car on Friday. Hey, calm down. He borrowed legally, nice guy. He just came yesterday from Mexico. And what? And now he borrowed a car on Friday. Very nice. V'tovcha b'Shabbos. Oy v'voy. He shechted it on Shabbos. Potur is potur from paying the owner of the cow. Why? Sheisur Shabbos v'isur gneva boin ke'echod. Because here, all of a sudden, we apply kimla b'derabba minei. Why? No, why? Why is the shoyel chayev? That's very easy. For what he did on Friday or for what he did on Shabbos? On Friday, he did nothing wrong. Obviously, only for the shechting on Shabbos, which was terrible in a gneva. That's Rav Papa's chiddush. What do I mean to say? Rav Papa says, when you borrow, you have no chiyuvim. You have potential chiyuv. You sow a seed in the ground. If anything will happen, then, and only then, at the time of accident or shchita or any bad thing that may happen, then that's when we put the limelight, the focus, and we say that's when the shoyl is chayev. But the shoyl at the beginning of the sheila term, nothing. I mean, what do you mean nothing? Of course, we know that if anything happens, he'll be reliable. But there's nothing already that obligates him, that connects him, and nothing that's mishabed him. Therefore, Rav Papa would say, let's go back beautifully, quickly to our story. Says Rav Papa, no. If the children, even if there were 10 pieces of land with a big sign, shibud, doesn't make a difference. Because at the time of borrowing, the person is not chayiv anything at all. He borrowed, he's a nice guy. We tell him, if so-and-so will happen, then you'll have to pay. Yeah, but that never yet happened. And when it did happen, the guy was 10 feet under, 6 feet under, 5 feet under. And therefore the guy was dead. And therefore his children are menutak, disconnected, they don't have to pay. That's what Rav Papa would say. That's why to connect and pin the statement to the Reisha is a debate whether you hold like Rav Papa or you don't. Obviously, Rava argued. Rava thought not like that. Rava thought that She'ela starts from the beginning. You are now chayiv. If the cow survives it, you're okay. Just the opposite. Yeah? He believes the shoyl is chayiv right from the start, like he got it, even though he's a nice guy. Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, why don't we say Kimle? Because he really is chayiv on something done on Friday. When the Ganav stole on Friday and shechted on Shabbos, it did not happen at the same time. When you shecht now, you are retrospectively chayiv on the Gneva of Friday morning. It's not Kimle. If I stole on Friday and Chalal Shabbos on Shabbos, they're not connected. And that's exactly the point. And that, by the way, everyone agrees to. That's Rav Papa and Rova. Right, a ton of bonon. Why does the Torah have to tell me that I have to return the stolen object that I stole? What is this, an SMS? Is this a WhatsApp? Why do you have to say twice the same thing? Why do you say the stolen good that is stole? You only have to return the object the way it was stolen, be'ein, if it stayed intact as it was. Mikan omru, from here we see, A goiza, which means what? What is really the Brisa tell me? Something unbelievable. You only have to return an object if it's the object itself. But if the object was eaten up, remember the yellow cheese, or it was all spent, you don't have to return at all, and you don't have to compensate. Says Rashi, that for sure cannot apply to the Ganav himself. What kind of logic is that? The Ganav himself ate up all the yellow cheese, spent all the money in I don't know where, and he doesn't have to pay back. What is this there, Ganim? Elamai, we can amu. From here we say the famous line for our Mishnah. Agoizel machiles bonov, the kinderlach, the zisa kinderlach, they did not steal. They have a different status. Turin milashalim. If they ate it up, they're potur. Why are they potur? Well, why are they potur? Either because it's the same, lefirovo, it is the same reshus, right? It's the same reshus, but they didn't do it, right? They didn't do it. Okay, that's even though we don't have to come to Rav and Rami Bar Chama, they didn't do it, they don't have to pay for sure, they ate it up. That's l'kulam. Let's say now he died and left them the beautiful legacy of the stolen goods. Ben Gdolim, Ben Ktanim, both older children over bar mitzvah and under bar mitzvah, chayovin. That's the story which we had earlier in the Amud. Even children below bar mitzvah have to pay if the yellow cheese is right there. Why? How can you take a cotton to court? As we'll see soon, Ktanim cannot be taken to court. I don't have to take them to court. I take the children. Why? Because the yellow cheese is right there and then. What? Oh, so even if you don't know what the cheese is, it's a technicality that you have to get Beis Din involved. It's kilo just got Beis Din to take the cheese out of the house. The cheese is right there in front of me. That's it. However, Sumchus argues and says, Gdoilim chayavin, Tanim pturin. Sumchus says, no, the Ktanim can keep the yellow cheese in their potter. Why? So Sumchus says that Lamaisa, we can't take the law into our hands, and we have something called Gvia. It's still Mechusar Govaina. It's still missing Govaina, which is what? Missing the collecting through Beis Din is something that has to be done even to Ktanim. And Ktanim are untouchables by Beis Din. Even if you have a yellow cheese in front of you in the house of the Ganev, you can't just take it back. You need the collection process, and that cannot be done to Ktanim, says Sumchus. Story time, not North Korea, but there's a story to make your night, to make it easier for you. Bar Chamua de Rav Yirmiyah, the son of the father-in-law of Rav Yirmiyah, which means Rav Yirmiyah's brother-in-law. Rav Yirmiyah is going now to have a din Torah with his brother-in-law. That brother-in-law was maybe he wasn't cute. He was a child below Bar Mitzvah. He was younger than Bar Mitzvah. He was a cotton, and the father/father-in-law died. And the father/father-in-law is the father of the little boy and the father-in-law of Rav Yirmiyah. And what did he do? He died. He died. And he left behind an apartment, a flat, piece of land. You know what the little kid did, the little child? Torak Gali, he closed the door, the Apid de Rav Yirmiyah. He closed the door and locked it so Rav Yirmiyah shouldn't come in. The little kid is now fighting with Rav Yirmiyah, and he's closing the door so Rav Yirmiyah shouldn't come into the house. Why? Because Rav Yirmiyah, soon we'll see that Rav Yirmiyah had a claim on the house. Rav Yirmiyah claimed the house is his, and the little child says, no, the house is mine. So what do you do? Also, Rabbi Abin, they came in front of Rabbi Abin to Din Torah, who Rabbi Yirmiyah and the cotton, okay? Omar, and now you know what Rabbi Abin did? He sided with the little boy, not with Rabbi Yirmiyah. And he said, Shaloihu Tovea. He's claiming what's his. Who's the natural heir of the father? The son or the son-in-law? The son. The son, it's his. So what do you want from his life? I know it's a little kid, but he happens to be right. He's a little kid, and you're in a Moira, but he happens to be right because Lamaisa, it's inherently possible, most probably his. Says Rav Yirmiyah, not a gun of Chas v'Sholem. Says Rav Yirmiyah, Omer Lei, Rav Yirmiyah is now arguing with Rabbi Abin, the Dayan, says, Sahadi, I can bring you Eidim, the Achzeki Bechai Avua. It was muchzak to me, says Rashi, given to me either b'matono or b'mechira. We don't know, but it was legally given to me when the father was alive, and I have Eidim to prove that. So I'll bring Eidim, bring the little boy to Beis Din, and I'll fight him out and show I have Eidim that the house is mine. Omer Le, Rabbi Abin is now responding, the Chimikablin Eidim, do you accept Eidim Shaloi Bifnei Baal Din? Do you accept Eidim not in front of a Baal Din? Do you accept Eidim when a Baal Din is not there? We'll see later on that if Reuven and Shimon have a Din Torah, Reuven cannot just talk in front of Beis Din and bring Eidim against Shimon, not in Shimon's presence. And a cotton present is not present. A cotton is as if he's not there. The chereshot of a cotton are not considered to be, I'm not saying chas v'shalom, no human beings, but they're not responsible adults, and therefore they're not there. So I know you have Eidim, but for now the cotton will stay there. And when he grows and becomes a beautiful bar mitzvah boy, then you bring the Eidim and take him to court and bring the Eidim then when he's able to stand in court. Frag the Gemara. Now Rav Yirmiyah is responding. Remember, Rav Yirmiyah is the one fighting his case. Rav Yirmiyah is one of the sides, the one who wants to get the land. The lawyer. So is that so? The Aktani, we learned to the Brisa just now, not like that. Ben Gdoilim, Ben Ktanim, Chayovin. You're saying that the cotton is this little, fragile, vulnerable baby. You can't take him to Beis Din, can't do anything. We just learned a minute ago that according to Tanna Kama, Tanim are mechuyev to pay and give back the yellow cheese, which means you take them to Beis Din and you tell the 9 years old, 10 years old cheeky boy, we have Eidim that you have this gold nugget, okay, not yellow cheese, in your dressing room, in your room over there. Give it back, and we're going to call the police on you. So we see that the cotton is yes able to stand in court. So what happened all of a sudden? Asks Rav Yirmiyah, I also want to stand against the little child in court and take the land which my father-in-law sold me. Amarle. So now Rabbi Abin responds, no, look at your side. Look at the next line in the Gemara. Right by their side, it says what? Sumchus. Sumchus protects the Ktanim. Sumchus says the what? No, a cotton cannot be taken to court ever. Even in the case of Gneva, you have the gold nugget right there in the house. And there are Eidim. You cannot take him to Beis Din, only when he grows up. So you see, we can hold like Sumchus. Omar, says Rabbi Abin. Says Rabbi Yirmiyah, the litigant. Ichbal kuli alma. Everybody all of a sudden is bending backwards. Bekaike Sumchus. And all of a sudden hold like Sumchus. Lafkin ledidi. In order to get the land, to get me out of the land, to be mafkia me from the land. In other words, since when do you follow Edas Yochid? You're telling me I follow Sumchus, and Sumchus is here, Ki'ilu, the child protector, and Sumchus says, no, a cotton can never be claimed. It's a din Torah. Tanim cannot stand bedin. And all of a sudden, everybody believes that Sumchus is right and are taking my land away from me based on a das yochid, on a minority opinion of Sumchus. Adehochi. Meanwhile, so we're left at a potential standstill. But then what happens? Adehachi. Divaila. Meanwhile. Higalgel Milsa, the story rolled over, the story continued and took another shape and form, and also that same court case somehow was dragged into the court or was told over to Rabbi Abo, which is a different dayan, and Rabbi Abo has a different take on the story. Omar says, Rabbi Abo is now making a comment, a new dayan, yeah? It's now in front of a new dayan called Rabbi Abo. Omar, he said, didn't you people, you all argue with each other, didn't you hear about the statement made by Rabbi Yosef bar Chama Omar B'Yoshia? The Omar Yosef bar Chama Omar B'Yoshia. Listen to the following story. Tinoik shetokaf be'avodov. A baby, doesn't mean a little baby, it could be 11 or 12 years old, and that 11, 12 years old has a whole bunch of avodim. He has his own slaves, and he went with his troop of slaves, of his other friends from the gang. He's in a gang from the age of 11. Did you ever hear such stories? No. Yes? America, South Africa? Yeah, the guy's in a gang already from the age of 10 or 11. I think that happened. Okay. So he's in crime already from the very young age, yet tender age. And this talk of Ba'avodov, the Yorad L'toch Soda Shel Chaveroi. That little kid went into someone's field. The Amar Shalihu, he put on a flag, he stuck a flag and a tent, and he said, that field is mine and only mine. And there's even a picture in the social media, this is my land, and he gets so many people to like it. That's his land. Very nice. Okay. So now the question is, comes the owner of the land and says, this kid is a Ganev. And the kid says, no, it's mine. I'm not a criminal. That's Rabbi Teichtel's imagination. No, I'm a good kid from a good private school. And really what? And really, this is my land, and I have also proof for it. The question is, can you actually stand with the cotton in court? And if no, what do you do meanwhile? We don't say, leave the cotton there. Be nice to the cutesy little boy with his 10 criminal friends. We don't say what? Let him grow up until bar mitzvah, and then we'll have a din Torah. We don't say that. We take it out of his hands right away. We take the cotton out of the story, out of the land. Well, a deal, when he grows up, we turn the tables. We want the chazaka, the current situation, to be, hey, you little cotton shnuki, get out of there. Well, a deal, when he grows up, he'll have a nice hat on his head. Then Yovi Edim, he'll bring Edim, the cotton, and maybe the other side also. We'll see. They bring Edim, and then we'll see what to do. We'll see who's right. The Kitzer, again, we see that Rav Yirmiyah is right. Rav Yirmiyah says, I want my little brother-in-law, who is right now my opponent, to get out of the story. Yeah, I'm muchzakir. When he grows up, let him get me out of the land, because I'm the one who I have two Edim. Yeah, says the Gemara, mi domi. Is that the same? You can't compare it at all. And now Rabbi Yirmiyah is slowly but surely losing the case. Midami, is that the case? You can all feel there's a big difference between the cotton that came from nowhere with his palanga, he came into the land, rather than the little cotton who stays where? In his own father's house. Oh, Midami, how can you compare? And we're asking this on Rabbi Abo. It's not the same. Hossam, over there in the little kid who comes and hails from nowhere and attacks and takes hold of the land. Huda mafkinan minei. That's mafkinan minei. We take out of his hands. You know why? He doesn't have a chazaka from the father. That little 11 years old, 12 years old, he came and with no chazaka from the father. He's, as we all learned, well, the big statement, yeah, you're the kata, nothing to do with your age. We're not against children or anything, yeah? We're all for children's rights. But the Maisa, where are you coming from? You have no chazaka whatsoever, and therefore you get out of here right now. We can't have a court case. You want to bring Eidim? Okay. We'll wait until you are bar mitzvah. Wait 2, 3, 4 more years. I don't know how young the kid is. And then we'll talk. Makes sense over there. Ava, but over here, the case of Rav Yirmiyah, over here, when he has a chazaka from the Tata, again, we're back to square one. Against Rav Yirmiyah. We're following what Rabbi Abin said. Lamaisa, it's true. It's true that the cotton is the one that for now, temporarily, should be there. Why? He's the natural heir. He's a natural, successor. And of course, for now, he should assume to be the owner. You, Rabbi Yirmiyah, you're the one coming from the outside. Very nice, your brother-in-law, and you claim this, but you're an outsider regarding the Yerusha. And therefore, you shall wait patiently, Rabbi Yirmiyah, and you should bring the Eidim later on, after the kid has a nice jet and heket and tefillin on his head, then you can actually go and bring the Eidim. And that's the aloha, that's what Shulchan Aruch says. And surprisingly, we're actually like Sumchus. I don't know if you got the trick over here. We're following Sumchus, I don't know why. But Chavrus and I broke our heads, we don't know why. But we're following Das Yochid. Because Lamaita, we are protecting the cotton, right? Maybe you only follow Sumchus in the case here of Yerusha. Maybe that's why. I know why. No, we did say. In the case of the cotton being machzik, then we believe Sumchus is right. Yeah, we did say this again. If a cotton stole or cotton got stolen goods, Yerusha, then we know it's not muchzak. I inherited it. You inherited from your father, the thief. And everybody knows he's a thief. That's not called inheriting. That's not called a good chazaka sitting pretty, right? Then we don't believe Sumchus. And then we tell the cotton, get it out. We'll bring Eidim, we'll get it out of you. Masha'enken, if this is all legal, all good and legal stuff, this is good piece of land, hard-earned money, came from the father to the son, even though the son is small and below bar mitzvah and a minor, we said the cotton should stay there. That's why we believe Sumchus, yeah? In that case, you're Rav Yirmiyah, you're the one who wants to change reality here. You're coming with new information. We respect receiving new information in Beis Din, but not with a little boy. You can't fight a little boy in Beis Din. It's like not there. As if he's not there. Then you have to wait until his bar mitzvah. I'm joking about the bar mitzvah ceremony, of course. You have to wait until he's a gadol. Oh, yeah, quick. We're behind. Weiter. Now, more on the same easy Gemara. Omar Avashi, Omar Shabtai. Mekablin Eidim Shalo Bifnei Baal Din. Boom. one is allowed to accept the Eidim and listen to the Eidim of one side without the other side being there. Reuven sues Shimon. Reuven can bring Eidim to Beis Din, not in the presence of Shimon. You're making a very nice face like this. Tahi ba Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan wondered. Tahi also means like he smelt. He was trying to say, what's going on over here? Is there such a thing to accept Eidim without the Baal Din being present? Now, it's not some logic. It's also mainly, it's a pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan soon later will bring a pasuk that proves that a Baal Din has to be there when he's being blamed, when he's being accused. Yeah? Kibla minei, Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina. So Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina accepted, and he learned from Rav Ashi an answer. In other words, Rav Ashi said something, or Rav Asi, they say, said something very strange, l'chora. How can it say to accept Eidim when the victim is not there to defend himself, right? You know when that is true? Kigoin, it's only in one specific case, or a few specific cases. Kigoin. Shehoyahu choyle. Let's say the toiveya, the plaintiff, is sick. I don't mean sick in corona. I will be back in Koilel next week. I mean sick, chas v'shalom, cancer stage DEF, yeah, like really sick. And soon he's going to die, and he wants to do justice. He wants that piece of land or that for his children, but he's going to die soon. Lo aleinu, the doctors give him only a few weeks to live, okay? The eidim of the plaintiff, they are very sick. They're very right in their minds. They're very clear, but they're going to die in two months' time. There's another pressurizing factor. Those eidim, I only have two eidim, and I'm the plaintiff. The only two eidim that can protect me and prove me right, they're Chabadniks. They're about to go now to a shlichus of 10 years in, where else? In Western Samoa. For 5 years without visiting Israel. Western Samoa, yeah, it's in Oceania, near Australia. So now all these factors are pressurizing. We can't wait. B'shol chuloi, we sent an urgent red letter from Beis Din to the nitba, to the one being sued. V'loi ba, and he didn't come. And he says, I'm not coming. Oh, you're not coming? And what? Or even if you just postpone them, but it's urgent, says Rashi, the beautiful famous line. You know what Rashi says here? Imloi achshav eimosai, says Rashi, if not now, then when? In other words, we are, excuse the pun, dying to get the din started. I can't wait for you. We're about to die. We're about to go to Chul. We're about to do things. You can't just keep us waiting, you Mr. Nitba, and protect yourself. How can you do the din without you? What do you mean, how could you do the din without you? What do you want? We are pressurized, and you're taking your time because, I don't know what, your daughter's gone graduation. So then, very nice. In that case, you accept the Eidim, even not in the presence of the Nitba, and that's halacha. Okay, we were very liberal today with the questions. Baruch Hashem, very good. On Sunday, we will finish the Amud. Very good. Thank you very much. Atzlacha Rabba. Questions and comments are welcome for the next 3 minutes until the Chavrusa comes. Thank you.